Have you ever wondered how attacks on Google and Amazon in one country could send shockwaves across an entire continent? Or how a single outburst from a leader can disrupt trade worth billions? Today, we're diving into the latest chapter of a heated economic showdown between the US and Canada and what it could mean for farmers, businesses, and your wallet. Stick with me, because this story has it all: big egos, huge numbers, and a battle over who really holds the power. Canada Section 1. The digital tax that lit the fuse. Canada's new Digital Services Tax, or DST, was introduced in 2024 but applies retroactively to 2022. Here's what that means in plain English. Any big tech company earning over $1.2 billion globally, with at least $20 million in Canadian revenues from ads, marketplaces, or user data, now has to pay 3% of its Canadian digital revenues, even for earnings dating back 2 years. Think about that. Retroactive tax bills worth $2 billion hitting companies like Google, Amazon, Meta, Uber, and Airbnb by the end of June. This tax isn't about punishing America. It's about making these tech giants pay their fair share on the billions they earn from Canadian users. And yet, it sparked a firestorm. Trump called it unfair and foolish. He pulled the US out of negotiations and accused Canada of copying Europe's digital tax moves. But let's be honest. Do you think it's fair that companies profit massively in one country but leave almost nothing behind? There is a version that this DST could lead to a wave of similar taxes around the world, as more countries realize they can collect revenue from digital giants operating within their borders, according to tax policy analysts. Collision Section 2. Tariffs, tantrums, and trade tensions. Trump's frustration with Canada didn't start with the digital tax. Back in 2018, he hit Canadian steel, aluminum, dishwashers, and other goods with tariffs, which Canada called unfair. Fast forward to today, and Canada is hitting back. Not just by taxing US tech firms, but by refusing to fold under pressure. Trump threatened new tariffs, saying Canada's tax measure is an unfortunate escalation that could hurt US export sectors and bilateral ties. He even bragged, "We have all the cards." But here's what's really happening. Canadian leaders, including Prime Minister Mark Carney, aren't backing down. They're negotiating quietly behind the scenes to protect their farmers and businesses from the fallout of U.S. tariffs, especially on key exports like canola and pork. According to trade experts, this clash could permanently weaken North American trade relations, forcing Canada to deepen ties with Europe and Asia to reduce its reliance on the U.S. Seedling Section 3. Farmers feel the squeeze. Canadian farmers have been hit hard by these tensions. Tariffs on steel and aluminum created ripple effects that are now slamming agricultural exports like canola, a key Canadian crop. Canola isn't just any plant. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, crucial to Canada's economy and farmers' livelihoods. A single tariff dispute can disrupt entire planting seasons. Meanwhile, Canadian hog farmers, especially in Manitoba, Canada's top pig-producing province, send up to 3 million live pigs to the U.S. each year, worth around $200 million. But with every trade threat, these farmers are left guessing whether their pigs will sell or if the border will slam shut. Think about it. What happens to a farmer's life savings if they can't sell thousands of pigs they've spent months raising? There is an opinion that continued uncertainty could push Canadian farmers to invest in new markets outside the U.S., accelerating a shift in global agricultural trade, according to agricultural economists. Hammer and Wrench Section 4. American Consumers and Business Chaos. While Trump brags about winning, American businesses and consumers are starting to feel the pain. Canadian appliance stores report slumping sales not because their products changed, but because customers fear prices will spike if tariffs land. And when buyers freeze, businesses freeze too. For example, U.S. appliance companies have already cut orders as they wait for clarity. Suppliers delay shipments, workers face reduced hours, and uncertainty grows like rust in an engine. There's a version that prolonged uncertainty could slow economic growth on both sides of the border, as businesses hesitate to invest or hire, according to economists at trade think tanks. Pigface Section 5. Bacon Diplomacy, the Pork Problem. Here's a delicious but serious example. Bacon. Manitoba's hog industry sends millions of pigs to U.S. buyers. Disruptions in this trade don't just hurt Canadian farmers. They affect U.S. food processors, restaurants, and grocery stores. When pigs don't arrive on time, prices for pork cuts like bacon or ribs can spike. Experts say if tensions worsen, it's possible we could see higher bacon prices in American supermarkets, according to food market analysts. Chart decreasing Section 6. Tech giants and their retroactive nightmare. Tech companies like Amazon, Google, and Meta are outraged. The 3% DST applies not just moving forward, but retroactively to revenues from 2022. For them, that's a $2 billion tax bill coming due fast. Trump's anger isn't just about national pride. It's about protecting these Silicon Valley titans from paying up. But here's a question. If Google earns billions from Canadian users, why shouldn't it contribute a tiny fraction back? There is an opinion that if Canada's tax survives U.S. retaliation, it could inspire other countries to adopt retroactive digital taxes, dramatically shifting how tech giants do global business, according to international tax experts. Section 7. Closing the door on negotiations. Trump's response? He announced the U.S. was walking away from trade talks with Canada, declaring Canada foolish and warning the digital tax will backfire. But Canada didn't flinch. Prime Minister Carney made it clear Canada will continue negotiating but won't scrap the DST. This isn't a reckless move. It's a signal that Canada won't be bullied. There is a version that if the standoff drags on, it could delay new trade agreements beyond North America, as other countries worry about getting caught in U.S.-Canada crossfire, according to global trade consultants. Globe with Meridian's Section 8. Shifting global ties. Behind the scenes, Carney is working with European and Asian partners to build trade resilience. His goal is clear: diversify Canada's markets so it doesn't have to rely so heavily on U.S. goodwill. Meanwhile, Trump's threats are pushing traditional allies like Canada, the EU, and even the UK to look for deals that bypass the U.S. entirely. Think about that. America, once the center of global trade, is now seen as unpredictable and risky. Analysts warn this could lead to a long-term decline in U.S. influence over international trade as partners build alliances that don't depend on American stability. Chart increasing Section 9. The hidden tax of tariffs. Trump likes to brag about hundreds of billions in tariffs collected. But who really pays? Spoiler alert, it's not Canada. It's American consumers, who see price tags rise on everything from appliances to bacon. Tariffs are taxes by another name, and every dollar collected comes straight from your wallet. Meanwhile, inflation data shows prices of farm machinery, electronics, and groceries are climbing. Fertilizers from Canada, especially potash, critical for growing corn, wheat, and soybeans, could face supply issues if tensions worsen. And if corn costs rise, so do the prices of beef, pork, eggs, and even ethanol fuel.